If you had told me a few years ago that you could write a solid, journal-ready research paper in one day using only one AI tool, I would have laughed. Not because it sounds lazy, but because academic writing has always been sold to us as slow, painful, and deliberately inefficient. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most research papers don't take months because they're intellectually impossible. They take months because we don't have a clear system. In this video, I'm going to show you step-by-step how to write a full research paper in a single day using one AI tool as your assistant, not as your brain. That means no cheating, no fabricated data, and no letting AI think for you. A while ago, I shared one standard way to use this tool for systematic reviews and literature reviews. That video is in the description if you want it. But today, you're going to see another, even more powerful way to use the same AI to write an original primary data research paper in just one day. By the end of this video, you'll know the exact workflow, the order to write each section, and how to plug this AI into every stage ethically so your paper stays original, defensible, and actually publishable. Step 1 is to prepare everything before you write a single sentence, and I really mean everything. Most people open a blank document, stare at the cursor, and then blame themselves for being slow writers, when the real problem is that nothing has been decided yet. Before you bring Jenny into the writing stage, you want your topic clearly defined, your research question or objectives written out, your data already collected, cleaned, and analyzed, and your tables and figures ready to go. This step is non-negotiable if you want to finish in one day, because writing is so much faster when you are describing decisions you have already made instead of inventing those decisions on the fly. If you do not have a clear topic yet, this is where Jenny becomes your thinking partner instead of a shortcut. Imagine you are broadly interested in how digital technologies are affecting agriculture, but you do not have a specific researchable topic. You open Jenny's chat and type something like, "I'm interested in agriculture, especially digital tools used by smallholder farmers, but I need a feasible research topic suitable for a quantitative or mixed method study." Jenny will suggest several focused topics. You scroll through, pick one that fits your interest and context, and either refine it or commit to it. Let's say you choose barriers and facilitators to digital tool adoption among smallholder farmers. While you are still in the same Jenny chat, you ask a second, very direct question. Turn this topic into clear research objectives and research questions that can be answered using survey data from smallholder farmers. Jenny will produce a list of objectives with matching research questions. Your job is to check them, delete anything unrealistic or vague, and keep the ones that are specific, measurable, and aligned with the data you can actually collect. Jenny helps you articulate the design, but you still decide what is possible, ethical, and realistic in your setting. Step 1.1 is to collect your data before you start writing anything serious. It sounds obvious, but many people try to write around missing data, and everything collapses later. If you are using a questionnaire for our example topic, you can use Jenny as a smart assistant instead of fighting with a blank survey template. In chat, you might say, "I am studying barriers and facilitators to digital tool adoption among smallholder farmers. Help me draft a structured questionnaire with sections on demographics, types of digital tools used, perceived benefits, perceived barriers, and support systems. Make the questions suitable for a field survey." Jenny will generate a draft questionnaire with clear sections and sample items under each. You copy that draft into Word or your survey platform and start refining. You remove vague or culturally off questions, change the wording so it sounds natural for your respondents, and add items that capture local realities that Jenny cannot know about. If your project uses interviews or lab experiments instead of surveys, the same logic applies. Jenny helps you turn your research questions into an interview guide or experimental protocol draft, and you refine it. At this stage, Jenny is not doing the research for you. It is helping you move faster from ideas to practical tools you can actually use in the field or lab. Once the data has been collected, entered, cleaned, and analyzed, writing stops feeling like guesswork and starts feeling almost mechanical, which is exactly what we want for a one-day paper. Step 2 is to write inside out, not top-down. The traditional way you were taught is top-down. Start with the introduction, then literature review, then methods, results, discussion, conclusion. The problem is the introduction is actually the hardest section to write when the rest of the paper is still fuzzy, so you get stuck early. With Jenny, we flip the order. You start with the methods, then move to the results, then the discussion, and only at the end do you write the introduction and abstract. It feels strange at first, but it is much easier. To write your methods, open Jenny and paste in your rough notes, your study design, for example, cross-sectional survey, how you selected participants, how many you had, what your questionnaire included, and what analyses you ran, descriptives, correlations, regressions, etc. Then you give a clear prompt like, Turn these bullet points into a clear, formal methods section for a research paper in your field. Keep everything accurate, use past tense, and do not invent details I did not provide. Jenny reorganizes and rewrites your notes into clean academic language with proper structure and transitions. You then read the draft, correct any details, and add small missing pieces. In maybe half an hour to an hour, you have a solid methods section that truthfully describes what you did. Starting this way gets you moving, kills a lot of writer's block, and gives your paper a stable backbone before you worry about nice sentences. Right around here is a good time for a short reminder. If you want to try using Jenny AI in the same way I'm showing you, as a structured writing partner, not a shortcut, I've put the link down in the description. You can check it out after this video and follow the exact workflow on your own project. Okay, back to the results. Step 3 is the results, and the main rule is clarity beats complexity. Many researchers panic at this stage because they think the results have to sound extremely technical to sound scientific. In reality, reviewers want to clearly see what you found and how it links to your research questions. By the time you hit this step in your one-day workflow, your analysis should already be finished. You have your tables and maybe a few simple figures exported from SPSS, R, Stata, or Excel. Put those tables into a clean Word file or PDF, then open Jenny. Upload that file, if the platform allows, or work table by table. Make sure your research objectives or questions are visible in the same chat so Jenny understands the context. Under your first table, say it shows the demographics of your sample, you type a prompt like, write a clear, concise paragraph describing the key patterns in this table in neutral academic language without interpreting why they occur. Just report what the numbers show. Jenny will generate a draft paragraph. You read it, correct any minor mistakes, and keep only what is accurate. Then you move to the next table. For more advanced tables, like relationships between variables, you can say, describe this table, highlight any statistically significant relationships, and report exact values. Step by step, you build your results section by pairing each table with one short, clean paragraph. You stay in charge of the interpretation, but Jenny stops you from wasting hours trying to find basic wording for obvious patterns. Step 4 is the discussion, and this is where you earn credibility as a researcher. The discussion is where weak papers fall apart and strong papers stand out. Poor discussions just repeat the results or make exaggerated claims. A good discussion follows a quiet but powerful structure. Briefly restate the main findings, compare them with past research, explain what they mean in the real world, admit limitations, and suggest future directions. You can use Jenny to help you follow that structure without losing your own voice. In your document, create a heading called Discussion, then go back to Jenny with your results and key references. You might prompt, using the results we wrote and these core references, draft a discussion that 1. Summarizes the main findings, 2. Compares them with past studies, 3. Explains practical implications for smallholder farmers, and 4. Mentions at least 3 realistic limitations. Do not add new results. Jenny will produce a draft, use a. You then go through line by line and ask, is this supported by my data? Does this match the literature I actually cited? Do I really believe this claim? If something is too strong, you soften it. If something is missing, you add it yourself. In some tools, you can even highlight a paragraph and ask Jenny to add a counter-argument or make this more critical, which pushes the analysis deeper. The final discussion still reflects your thinking, but Jenny helped you get there faster and more systematically. Step 5 is the introduction, and we only write it once, everything else is settled. A good introduction moves like an inverted funnel. It starts broad with the wider problem, narrows down into what is already known and not known, and finally lands on your study's specific gap and objectives. Because you have already written the methods, results, and discussion, you now know what your study actually did, not just what you hoped it would do. So you call Jenny back and say, based on the completed paper, draft an introduction that explains why digital technology adoption in agriculture matters, what previous research has shown, what gap my study addresses, and ends with my research objectives. Do not claim I used methods or data I did not use. Jenny will build a logical story that flows straight into your methods. Your job is to check that the statements about what is known match the literature you have really used, and that the gap and objectives are worded exactly the same way in the rest of the paper. Here, Jenny's superpower is flow and structure. Your superpower is accuracy and honesty. Step 6 is the literature review, and here the rule is synthesis, not summary. If your paper needs a separate literature review or a deeper background section, Jenny can work as a synthesis engine. If you have time, upload your key papers into Jenny's workspace and ask something like, From these studies, organize the main themes related to barriers and facilitators of digital tool adoption among smallholder farmers, or compare how these authors define and measure adoption. Jenny will group findings into themes that line up with your objectives. If you are under time pressure and cannot build a full library, you can still let Jenny search for and summarize relevant studies from the web. But then, you must be extra careful about checking that each citation is real and relevant. Either way, the goal of this section is to show that you understand the conversation your paper is entering. You guide Jenny by saying, do not write one paper per sentence. Group studies that agree, point out where they disagree, and highlight the gaps. After it generates a draft, you verify the references, fix any awkward in-text citations, and add or remove studies based on your own reading. A literature review built this way looks polished and intentional, even if you wrote it faster than most people think possible. The final stage is your conclusion and polish. Scroll to the end of your document just before the reference list and create a heading called Conclusion. Ask Jenny, draft a short conclusion that restates the purpose of the study, summarizes the methods and main findings, and briefly mentions the implications for smallholder farmers without introducing new results. Jenny will create a concise summary. You check that it matches what you truly did and found, cut repetition, and keep it tight. Then you use Jenny one last time as a polishing tool, not a writing engine. You can paste in each section and ask it to check for clarity, consistency of tense, and alignment between your objectives, methods, results, and discussion. You can also ask it to flag unclear sentences or weak transitions. In this phase, Jenny acts like a careful second reader, spotting small problems that are hard to see when you are tired. When you finish this pass, you have a paper that is clean, coherent, and ready for feedback or submission. You did the thinking, the design, and the analysis. Jenny helped you move through each step faster and safer. That is how writing a solid research paper in one day stops being a fantasy and becomes a repeatable system you can actually use. If this helped you see that a one-day research paper is actually possible with the right workflow and Jenny AI on your side, do me a favor, hit like, drop a comment telling me where you are in your thesis journey, and share this with that one friend who's still suffering alone in Word. The link to Jenny is down in the description, and if you want to go deeper, watch the next video where I show my full AI-powered research workflow from first paper to final draft.